Hey, what's up? This video is actually in response to Jace and Jason's video, or their separate videos rather. Anyway, I just wanted to discuss. They brought up an interesting question, about being outed and their feelings and why it's hard for a trans man to fit in. We don't have. I don't want to say fit in, but just be comfortable. We don't have, the things that a bio man has, obviously, physically, and it can be a very difficult situation. So I just wanted to touch on that, and I wanted to indulge from a bit of my personal experience, I guess, which I guess you guys don't really know about. Growing up, I identified as a lesbian at a very early age, but I never really understood about the transgendered community at all. I had no knowledge on it. I had no education on it. To me, I knew absolutely nothing about it. Matter of fact, I didn't even realize it existed. I knew that you could be born with both body parts and live your life as one gender, but I was not aware that you could be born into the female body or the male body and identify as the opposite sex and want to change your life and live that way. Now, I always knew there was something wrong with me, and I always knew that I wanted to have a penis, and I didn't want to have, as I grew older, I didn't want to have my chest tumors, and I felt uncomfortable in the body I was in, but I wasn't able to say, hey, I want a sex change, this is what I want to do, blah, 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 because I had absolutely no knowledge on what my options were. And so from that point of view, I think when we're outed, so to speak, I think people just don't have a lot of education on it in general, and I don't think they have a lot of understanding. So it's hard for them to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard for them to understand that this isn't a choice that trans are making, or really just to understand it in general. I think to be able to really fully understand almost that, I was born this way, this is how I feel about myself, and these are the changes I want to make so I can be more comfortable in my body. I think people really have to feel that way to really 100% understand it. And I think the ignorance, I think that's what it is when people are outing us. I don't think it's their intention. I don't think they're realizing what they're doing, rather. And this is just my personal opinion. So I have a lot of, for example, I have a lot of exes, and a lot of exes I dated before I just came out. About December will make it a year, so not even a year. And so I have a lot of exes who dated me, as a girl or whatever. So then they tell people, oh, well, Brent, well, he was a she and all that stuff, and I'm not comfortable with that. So I tell them, I'm just pretty point blank when it comes to outing. I'm like, look, this is the deal. You don't need to tell people what I was or what I was born or whatever. That's really none of their business. And I'm a guy. I'm living my life as a guy, and that's just it. And people need to just understand that and respect that. And if they don't need to be in your life. They don't need to be in my life. Because to disrespect that is to disrespect me. And if you're disrespecting me, well, there's a billion people in this world. So why would I want someone who's disrespectful to me in my life? So that's the way I look at it. Charles Asher made a really good video. Makes a lot of really good videos. And he talks about acceptance being the answer. I think every trans man, before he gets his surgery especially, and then, up until even the lower surgery, it's very uncomfortable to be in this body. It's very unnerving to know that I can't whip out my dick and have sex, when I want to, or to stand in the shower. Right now I haven't had my top surgery, so even to get out of the shower and to look in the mirror and to look at myself and know that I don't have the body I want, to know that I can't have sex, taking off my shirt and have sex, because I just, I'm uncomfortable with what I have. And I think, I think it just sucks, it just sucks. There's a lot of bio men out there too, though, who are born with a small penis, or who are born with just defects that you know, just affect them. And that's the way I try to look at it, you know. Instead of being upset with what I don't have, I need to accept what I do have and work with it, because that's all I can do, you know. And I think it's very important. I think trans men, or trans women in general, I think it's very interesting because I think society, you know, the way you're socialized, society socializes bio males and bio females a certain way. And, you know, and you grow up a certain way, learning a certain way, but I don't think, like, the typical male behavior, I don't think that's necessarily, the quote-unquote typical male behavior, because I know there's a lot of bio males who aren't like that, but I think that whole macho, like, just degrading, disrespectful, whatever, I'm the man, whatever attitude, I don't think that's necessarily, I think society's just kind of, like, adapted to that in a way, so that's okay, but I don't think it really is okay.